out of my mouth, Francis. I was going to say it's been quite an interesting week. It definitely has been a bit of a rocky road. But I love Rocky Road because even with all the bumps and detours and whatnot, there's a sweetness to it. So thanks for asking.
And MJ is our other guest tonight.
Hi, everyone. I guess for me, it would be that strange rainbow flavor that Publix has sometimes. You're never too sure which taste you're going to get as you're eating it. I think that's the kind of week I've been having ups and downs. It's been pretty intense.
Thank you. Jonathan, hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to be seen. Thank you. So, it's been a good week, so I'm going to pick just my favorite flavor, chocolate with some chocolate sauce.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. Hello, Shirley.
Hello. I'd go with cookies and cream. Unfortunately, too many cookies.
Thanks for joining us. Bill and Betty, our regulars. It's always nice to see you. Oh, you're muted. Oh, no sound today? No sound today? Okay. Good to see you.
There we go.
Oh,
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Mango.
Tutti frutti.
Esther. Do you see where to unmute?
I feel much like Jonathan. I've had a good week, which is kind of surprising. So therefore, I would have my favorite, which is mocha chocolate chip. That's what I would have.
I'm glad you had a good week.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for joining us. Hi, Etta.
Vanilla. I think my week has been okay, and so just vanilla. The same old, the same old.
Good one. Thank you. Hi, Simon.
Hello. Well, I pigged out on Bing Cherry last night, so.
Sharon and Jack.
Actually, it's Shahan and Sharon.
Shahan
I'm
and
East Hollywood Neighborhood Council board member here, and my lovely wife Sharon.
nice to meet you.
I'm gonna say vanilla bean because it has been sweet and smooth this weekend. We had a lot of growth with our 10-year-old, and it's just been, we get to have the family together, so it's been pretty nice.
Excellent.
Yo, how y'all doing? Y'all having a good day? What's going on?
Go on, talk. You're still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want you guys to know that this was dropped on Twitter. So if I were you, I'd end the host. Like, just end the.
Sharon?
I'm trying to help you out. It was dropped on Twitter that.
Yeah, go for it.
And fuck up. If you keep muting me, promise to God you.
Sharon, go for it. Sharon, go for it. Yeah.
Sharon, I can't hear you.
Talk.
Oh, Sharon, I think you're muted.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, I can hear you, Sean, but I can't hear Sharon.
Oh,
Yell into it.
Oh, I've been Neapolitan. I've been psychotic and depressed, but overall pretty happy.
Good, thank you. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good.
I have a new favorite ice cream that's in my quarantine favorite. It's the Belgian chocolate trio from Haagen-Dazs, and I really recommend it.
Okay.
It's how I end every night.
Ken.
It's been a good week. I'd say oatmeal cookie dough. Nice, easy, comfortable, no complaints.
Good. Azu. Hi. You want to answer?
Mango.
Great. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks. What's the question?
An ice cream flavor that describes your week.
An ice cream flavor. Oh gosh.
You can make
Gluten free.
Good for you. An ice cream flavor that describes your week.
An ice cream.
Bernice Bratter. Good for you. Bernice, are you there? I'll come back to you. Deborah? Deborah?
Yeah, my flavor is vanilla. It's been a kind of bland, average, but kind of tasty. Nothing too exciting.
You know, that's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us. Bernice? Okay, we'll come back. Joelle? Kenneth?
Well, I've been home alone and celibate, so I'd have to say vanilla.
A lot of vanillas. I think that's good. Deborah? There are two Deborahs, I think. I see Deborah's iPhone. You want to check in, Deborah? I'll come back to you. Marion?
Pass.
Hi, Marion.
Hi, I pass.
Okay. Hi, Terry.
Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, my favorite is Cherry Garcia.
Good one.
But I think that in honor of all the efforts toward testing, I'm going to say Chunky Monkey.
Thank you. There's someone whose username is Galaxy. I don't know if you want to. Can't hear you. We'll come back. Molly?
Is the question, I came in late, I'm sorry. Is the question, what's your favorite ice cream?
An ice cream flavor that describes your week.
Oh gosh.
And you can make up a flavor.
Caramel swirl.
Nice.
Especially the swirl part.
Alp? ALP? Okay. Eve?
I think you're talking about.
Yes.
Brandy ice cream.
Brandy ice cream? Is that with brandy in it?
The flavor.
Okay.
The flavor, definitely.
Great. Thank you for joining us. I think I got most of us. Reza?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Why my picture's not there?
Click start video.
Start video. Let's see.
At the bottom left, click start video.
There you go.
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to check in with an ice cream flavor that describes your week?
Well, I can see I'm not one of the creative ones here. Gee, I don't know.
You can make up a flavor too.
I can't think of one that expresses my mood.
Or you can just describe your week in a word or two.
Challenging.
Oh, well, I hope it's getting better. Thanks for joining in. And I think that is everyone. So again, thank you all for joining us. And just please make sure you're muted. And as always, I'd like to start with a little passage, a literary passage. Today, I was inspired by Beckett, one of my favorite plays, Waiting for Godot. So I'm going to read a little passage from that I think is apropos for these last few weeks. The tears of the world are a constant quantity. For each one who begins to weep, somewhere else another stops. The same is true of the laugh. Let us not then speak ill of our generation. It is not any unhappier than its predecessors. Let us not speak well of it either. Let us not speak of it at all. So we're going to start with an extraordinary writer, poet, public speaker, publisher, editor, translator. I don't know if I'm missing anything else, MJ. Playwright. She wears many hats. She's very gifted. She is the author of Happy Okay, also Badass Black Girl, among other books, and she's also included in many anthologies. So I'm very honored to introduce Michelle Dev. Do you like to be called MJ or Michelle?
I know her.
Welcome. And again, I'll just remind you, if you switch to speaker view, then you will see Michelle on a big screen and you won't have to look at the rest of us so much. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is so exciting. I am the author of Happy Okay. I'm going to read a poem or two from the book, and I'll be happy to answer questions if anyone has any. Happy Okay is a book about hope and depression. It's a book it's mostly poetry, but really there are two parts to it. The first part is a poetry in play format. It's poetry in play format where there's a conversation between Paloma, the main character of the play, and her lover, Jose Armando. And part one explores what it's like to suffer from depression, anxiety, and depression. Not only from the point of view, not just suffering from it, but also having to live with somebody who suffers from those issues. And the second part brings more hope to the reader, simple things that someone suffering from depression or someone who has a loved one suffering from depression, what they can do to manage it, understand it, etc. So what I'm reading right now is from part one. It's the voice of Paloma, and well, again, she's talking to Jose Armando, kind of explaining how it feels to be dealing with the feelings that she's dealing with. I don't want to justify how I feel, my diffuse existence, my trap of contradiction. Sometimes, tangled in the sheets, I dream about water rushing through the window. The water opens, swallows me, drowning, dropping, dropping. The force of the flood dissolves my flesh and leaves my bones polished, white, until I mirror the sky and have no memory and no future. And whether there is a God or no God, it doesn't matter. God is outside the equation. Despite times I pray not to wake up, I do. And the muffled silence doesn't belong to any real world. If I am brave, I want to learn to swim in these waters, in their irresistible chiaroscuro, in the weight of their insistent turbulence. I can't love anything or anyone until I've dug deeper and deeper into my broken self and pulled beauty and poetry from the shores. I don't want your arms around me until I'm no longer jagged. Right now, I can only tear you to ribbons. My chemistry is confusion. I've sat in the chairs of dozens of specialists who study methods to make my brain bloom like a sunflower. I've swallowed a spectrum of pills formulated to untangle me, and it's all just a band aid covering a wound so deep it's gone septic. That invasion you feel in your capillaries is an infection. It will kill you if you let it.
That was boring as fuck.
The second poem that I'm going to read is in the voice of Jose Armando. So Jose Armando is Paloma's lover, in case you're just now joining the Zoom meeting. And he's been trying to understand what it is to suffer from depression, particularly when the depression is not due to anything environmental, but mostly from something that is more physical, something from the brain not working properly, because really Paloma has everything going for her. And Jose Armando is trying to understand why sometimes she's unable to deal with the world. So this is in the voice of Jose.
Can you fat slag?
I want to help you when you're raging, ready to throw a sea of pots and pans at me. When you're ready to beat your chest, I want to hold you tighter in this world of time and consequence. I want to kiss you so you remember what you are. Because when you remember, I want to hold you tighter in this world of time and consequence. I want to kiss you so you remember what you are. Because when you remember, you want nothing more than for me to hold you and kiss you good. Even if you say this is not true, not at all, it is still true. You are assailed by longing for exactly what we have. And then Paloma answers, he wants to save me, but even his voice is too much for me right now. And who would he be saving? I'm not this woman whose name he cries out for. No little turtle dove, Paloma, that he can rescue, toting its small breast, downy head, broken wing, cradling it in the hollow of his palm. I am more demon than goddess, more war than peace. Only I can wrap my arms around my own darkness and make it a rainbow. So this is it from Happy Okay. I it was really important for me to write this book. I started my career actually writing horror stories for teenagers. I was a teenager at the time myself. So I studied writing fiction. Then I wrote a little bit of nonfiction when I moved from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, where I'm from. And I attended FIU, Florida International University in Miami. I explored some other genres, and I realized at some point that it was really important for me to write um, work that could be um, helping others, not just entertain them, but address some of the issues that they might be dealing with. So I started exploring a little bit of those topics that were important to me, depression being one, because I do suffer from depression myself. And I've also explored the concept of self empowerment, what it means to um, work on yourself. What can one do to find a semblance of happiness? And at what point do you ask for help? And I was a teacher for many years. I taught middle school for about 8 years. And one thing I noticed is that very often people don't know how to ask for help. A lot of people suffer from silence, whether they are suffering from depression or there's something wrong going at home. It's very difficult, no matter the age, for many people to come forward and talk about the issues that they're going through. And that's particularly true for young Black girls. Growing up in Haiti as a Black girl myself, I know how resilient people expect you to be when you're in an environment that is very difficult. And when I moved to the US, the issues, of course, that teenagers face here might be different than what I had to deal with coming from a country that was a little peculiar to live in the 90s. But still, there was this expectation that young Black girls were supposed to be very strong and determined, know exactly what they want. And I wanted to be able to talk to those girls and let them know that it was okay sometimes to have doubts, not to know exactly what they want to do with the rest of their lives. And I really started to think about the book that I would have loved to read when I was a teenage girl. And that's how I came to write Badass Black Girl, which is an empowerment book for young Black girls. And in this book, I have included quotes from role models for my audience, questions that they might want to ask themselves, because sometimes the very questions that you ask yourself carry all the weight as opposed to the answers that other people might want to give you, and some affirmations as well. Um, the part that I'm going to read from this book, do I still have time, Marcus?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. So I'm going to read the introduction to the book, where I explain a little bit of my philosophy, what a badass Black girl is. Um, so that's the first letter to the badass Black girl. Dear badass Black girl, you are a true warrior who inherited the strength, courage, wisdom, love, and dignity of our ancestors. You stand on their shoulders carrying a history of triumph. Yes, it is true. You also still carry some of the pain of yesterday's Black heroines, these creators, innovators, and agents of change. And you are faced with the tremendous struggle of the modern girl of color. But make no mistake, you are strong and you can conquer whatever challenges this world hands to you. Your very existence defies history. Never forget those who broke the unjust rules society once used to limit their progress, those who fought hard to get you to this moment, those who gave light so others could find their way through dark times. Because of them, you get to walk into a restaurant through the front door, sit at the front of the bus, and cast a vote for leaders who represent your ideals. Walk in the freedom they secured for your sake. Be proud of your rich skin, and may your hair be a crown that stands tall. Be proud of your deep rooted cultures. Be proud of the power of those who came before you, as the strength of generations will propel you forward and carry you through difficulties. Be fearless, but as you move through the world, remember Your biggest responsibility is to remain thoughtful, to honor where you come from, and to recognize you didn't simply appear and find your own voice. Alice Walker wrote, "How simple a thing it seems to me that to know ourselves as we are, we must know our mother's names." And another letter, this one is from a chapter titled "You Have a Lot Going for You." Goes like this: Dear badass black girl, you think I don't know you, but I do. I see you when your face is stretched by a smile, when you make those around you feel like they are the only people you've ever truly smiled at. But I've also seen your face when you clench your lips as if you could trap your sadness inside. And there is a story there, beginning, middle, and end, all laid out within the curves of your mouth. I see you with more possibilities than you could ever imagine. Unless they get in the way of the talents you do have, please don't waste time focusing on the talents you don't have. Don't even seek to improve them, maybe later. Don't obsess over your flaws. How many hours will you spend furiously perfecting skills on the piano before you realize playing music is not your forte? Not everyone is Hazel Scott or Nina Simone. You don't have to be on the dance team if it's not your thing. You don't have to know the lyrics to the latest Cardi B or Nicki Minaj song. You don't have to be fluent in Spanish. You don't have to make a mean bread pudding. Stop trying to be someone else. The girl your friends, your boyfriend, your teachers, or your parents want you to be. Instead, cultivate your strengths. Be you. Don't expect your flaws to fall from you like dried up flakes of skin. If you're not meant to do something, let it go. All your life, you've been told that you need to get better at what you're not good at and don't care about. It may be true that it's good to try new things out and that we surprise ourselves when we learn something new. But your time is better served when you focus on what you already do well. You have so many talents. Prioritize them. You may not know exactly what these talents are, and that's okay. You'll figure it out, and this book will help you. In the meantime, you don't have to prove yourself to others. You can't dance, so what? Slow dance, low dance, and fast dance like no one's watching. Do it because the groove hits your spine and moves you in a certain direction. You can't sing, so what? Belt out Beyonce, croon to Aretha Franklin or ESPCT, and swoon to Alicia Keys with all the strength your off key voice can muster. Play your music loudly so the bass thumps in your heart and makes your chest feel like it's alive because it is. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. I have just a couple quick questions. I'm always fascinated by artists who have been able to transform uh, things like depression, challenges through self esteem into their life's work. And so I'm wondering, did you start writing as a child and then at some point find that it was a tool that you could use, or was it kind of the other way around? Did you come into writing as a way to help you?
When I started writing, I was very young. My first book I published when I was still a teenager at 16, but I had started working on it years before. And really, I got into writing because that was one of the things that I was good at. So I'm like, okay, so I'm good at this. I'm going to stick to it. I'm from a family of four girls, and they were all smart, always getting A's in school. And um, there were only few things that I could do to impress anybody because I'm the youngest of the bunch, and they are so used to um, girls were succeeding at everything they try. So when I found that one thing that I could do better than my sisters, I just stuck to it. And I started by writing stories mostly for my peers. So I wrote a lot of young adult stories, and the books that I published in French in Haiti were all for young girls. They were adventure books with a little bit of horror in them, and they were pretty successful. But at some point, I felt that I was given this gift and I wasn't necessarily um, using it to the fullest. And at the same time, I felt that my past was um, affecting the way I related to writing. I come from a very difficult family situation. I was surrounded by violence in the streets because I grew up in the 90s, post the Papa Doc and Baby Doc regimes. And the country was trying to find itself. And at home, things were pretty difficult because my family was pretty dysfunctional. And I felt that I did not have the same freedom to write as I did when I wasn't dealing with the emotional baggage that this past um, had brought to me. So I started writing nonfiction instead of fiction. And although writing my first memoir was really helpful in the way it helped me deal with my past, I still didn't feel satisfied with what I was doing with my writing. I wanted to do more, to be able to really send a message, not necessarily um, a veiled message that could be implied by telling my life story, but something more direct that would have real value for the reader. Um, and around that same time where I was really doing all this kind of introspection, trying to find where I wanted to take my writing, the terrible earthquake in Haiti happened. And I was completely devastated. I signed up to help in Haiti first from the United States, where I was relaying messages to the military, trying to gather information from families of survivors on social media, and kind of being at the center of it all, relaying the information to the soldiers who were on site trying to rescue people. And I spent 3 or 4 days without sleeping. And because I suffer from depression, it was a formula for a disaster. And I had to be, I was sent to the hospital for a week because I had a complete nervous breakdown. And while I was at the hospital, I started writing about depression. And in Haiti, there is a culture of silence where you don't air your dirty laundry out. And there is a lot of stigma associated with depression because people see it as an early sign of just being crazy. Very soon you're going to be walking half naked in the streets, not knowing your name and where you're going. So people don't really talk about their mental issues in Haiti. Well, they didn't back then. Things have things are better nowadays. And I wrote the experience of what I went through going to the hospital and later.
And did that eventually become Happy Okay?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So it was a work in the making. It took years, and ultimately it led to Happy Okay.
Well, it's wonderful. And I'm glad that you have work that is impacting people, especially around mental health, because I agree. And you know that I'm Haitian and I completely understand the stigma around mental illness, but I think it's the same in most cultures. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It's very important. And
Thank
thank
you
you
so much for having me tonight.
with us tonight. You can wave your hands if you want to give her a round of applause. I don't want to unmute everybody. That was wonderful. Thank you. And our next guest is a wonderful musician who creates beautiful music that is not only entertaining, but also works towards spiritual enlightenment and awakening. So I'm happy to introduce Fernando Spretz.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hello again. Thank you, Franz Luz, for having me. So many wonderful flavors of ice cream here tonight. And MJ, thank you for your insight and wisdom. I feel, as a parent of two daughters and a son, I feel that the wisdom you shared with us is not only applicable to young women of color, but really to there are a lot of universal themes. And what you read to us tonight about authenticity and really finding yourself and fueling that part of yourself that is most authentic. For me, in these past 6 weeks of quarantine, that's really what it's been about. Tonight I'm here to present to you a work that I call Drumming and Dreaming. But before I do that, I want to dovetail onto MJ's portion that this past 6 weeks has been a deep dive into different layers, different aspects of my own creative authenticity, things that may have been left on the back burner for years. And then now that we've had this elongated pause to all of our, busy lives, there's been time to dive into those things. So I'm happy to announce that I just released an EP, a new EP of avant-garde experimental music that I just released online just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And in addition to the drumming and meditation work, I'm also involved with pop rock music, soul music with my wife, Judy. I'm working on getting my children together because they're also very musically inclined, to get them together to form a family band. So to keep in touch with what I'm doing now, I'll just mention it, that my screen name, that's the best way to keep in touch with me and to follow the work that I do, which has changed over time. And I gather even through this whole quarantine and introspection time, it's going to continue evolving. So feel free to jot down that Instagram handle. And if you don't use Instagram, then you can get in touch with me through Franz Luz at a later time. So having said all that, I'm wondering if there's any meditators in our group tonight. If so, welcome. I have with me my trusted handy dandy ceremonial drum. And believe it or not, a drum, especially one like this, made out of animal skin and it can be found in native and indigenous cultures around the world, is very conducive to meditation. So I'll do one or two pieces, or maybe just one long journey that emulates the music that I play when I conduct workshops. And again, those workshops are called Drumming and Dreaming. It's an experience to help you remember and understand your dreams, the dreams you have while you're asleep. But then also, it's a way of showing you how to embark on an intentional dream, using meditation as a springboard for waking state dreams. So indigenous people have known about the power of the drum and how effective it is to helping individuals, quote unquote, drop into that meditative state. So I just invite you all now just to get even more comfortable than you are now. If you like, you can close your eyes and just settle in and take some deep breaths and allow the drum, and you might hear the sound of my voice, allow these sounds just to transport you somewhere spontaneous. It may be to a dream that you remember. It may transport you to a precious memory from the recent or distant past. You may find your awareness going to somewhere completely new that you've never been before. Be it as it may, just relax, breathe, and allow the sound to take you where it may. And again, thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
The applause and I can feel the
I
resonance.
absolutely did. I actually feel transformed. I mean, in all transparency, this was the first week that we had people infiltrate the meeting, and I apologize, MJ. And so I was quite anxious, and that completely washed that stress away. It was so beautiful. And is there a name for that song, or is it just a series of sounds?
Well, generically speaking, it's called a shamanic journey. The shamans over 100,000 years of around the world have known that through intentional ceremonial drumming and chanting and dancing, you can invoke help from spirit guides, ancestors, angels, power animals. So that's a very big part of the work of drumming and dreaming. And so that piece, it goes under that umbrella of drumming and dreaming that I mentioned earlier. But drumming and dreaming really is a derivative of shamanism and what generically is called a shamanic journey.
And is the playing meditative for you as well? Do you experience the same benefits playing the music?
Very much so. I have a couple of different approaches to the drumming. When facilitating or playing, or performing it, quote unquote, for a group, I drop in and I become the drum. I become enveloped in the sound, and I allow the sound wash over me to the point where Fernando is no longer here. But my association with self and my sense of identity and the sound merge. That's one way when I'm facilitating. But I also do these journeys for my own self, because journeys are meant to serve the purpose of being able to ask questions and receive answers from within. I've got questions on any number of topics. Actually, right now is really, for those of you who are interested in just trying it out for yourself, just put on some relaxing music, or actually maybe in the chat I'll put a link to some free online recordings that I have. So you can do your own journey and ask, once you're in that relaxed state, it's very fertile ground to just ask questions of really your higher self, and anything you put a face to your higher self on, or in other words, guardian angels, spirit guides, what have you. Just ask, I mean, that was a great time. Like, for example, what is this whole pandemic really about? How long is it going to last? What is really my true purpose in all of this? How can I be of service during this time? There's no better time than now to really dig deep and ask all of your burning questions. And the beautiful part is that you don't have to go anywhere or hire anyone to do it. These answers are coming from within.
Absolutely.
And the shamans have known this for millennia.
No. I would love for you to play another one.
Sure. I brought another. I brought a few. I brought a few things with me. I have a little jaw harp here. I'll give you a little demonstration of jaw harp music, which also is used by shamans and indigenous music and musicians. And but I did bring another instrument. So that's the jaw harp. But I will like to just play one more short piece with an instrument called a shruti box that I picked up myself in India when I was traveling through there years ago. And typically it's used to accompany a singer. But I also like the drum. I've noticed that it has really beautiful meditative qualities. It just produces a drone instrument. It works similar to like an accordion where you pump with air, and it produces just a constant drone of static notes. It's not a melodic instrument per se, but you will hear also the sound of my voice to provide some overtones along with the shruti box. So again, feel free to relax, kick back, and see where this sound takes you. And maybe if we have some time at the end, maybe some people would like to share if anything particular came to mind, or if their awareness took them to anywhere in particular. Thank you. you so much.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful.
Unmute yourselves. I want to hear all that applause. Okay, okay.
So much, Fernando. Well, I would love to hear if that took people places. We are almost out of time, but you are welcome to email me at franceluce@fountaintheater.com if you want to share anything. I check my emails. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see you on Saturdays, but I love to also hear from you all throughout the week. I'm here to stay connected with all of you. Thank you so much, Fernando.
You're welcome. And the same goes for my Instagram. And for those of you who use Instagram, there's a direct message feature. And also, if you did like the music that I played tonight, I did produce and release an album of this kind of music specifically. And the name of the work is Drumming and Dreaming, Drumming ampersand Dreaming. But so is the album. So if you were to go to this platform, or on my Instagram, there's a link that takes you right there. But for those of you who don't use Instagram, there's a platform called bandcamp.com. And you can just search my name, Fernando Subirats, or Drumming and Dreaming onto bandcamp.com. And there you'll find my album, also entitled Drumming and Dreaming, that you can listen to and experience this type of music anytime you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I usually end with another quote, just a thought to leave us with. However, MJ, if you have another little short poem that you would like to share, I would love to have you share one more. I feel so awful that we had bombers infiltrating us tonight. It's never happened. We've been doing this for several weeks now. So I apologize. And so if you have a short one that you'd like to share, I would love to let you close out with one. And while you're searching, I'll share one quick quote and then let you close us out. So again, I'm inspired by playwrights this week, and another one of my favorites is Anton Chekhov, one of my favorites of all time. And this is a funny little quote from him. Any idiot can face a crisis. It's day-to-day living that wears you out. So that just puts things into perspective. We're going through a difficult time, but it's really, just one day at a time. Every day is an adventure. So do you have something to share to close us out?
Sure. I'll finish with a love poem, I guess. It's also part of the dialogue between Jose Armando and Paloma. And it's Jose Armando saying, "Oh, how little it takes to love her. The way she says my name, how she laughs and wrinkles her forehead after she's uttered something strange. That's what you do to me, Paloma. Permeate, saturate, submerge me in you. I love you more than a person out to love one thing. I want to loosen the knot between your brows and find the soft place within you. It's there, somewhere. I can see it in the margins of your eyelashes."
Beautiful. I can see it in the margins of your eyelashes. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Michelle and Fernando, for sharing your talents with us, spending time with us. And thank you all again for joining us. We do this every week, every Saturday, 5 o'clock. Next week, I have a special treat for Mother's Day. We're going to be doing some theater, go figure, theater company. I have a short play in honor of mothers and daughters that will be presented next week. And if you want to bring your daughter or your mother in to join us, that would be a great time to do it next week. Next Sunday is Mother's Day. So we have a Mother's Day theme next Saturday. So I invite all the mothers, daughters, everyone to join us and maybe bring a little something to share yourself. Thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful week. Have a great Sunday, a great evening. Take care of yourself. I wish you continued good health. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.
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 And to all, a good night.
It's all good.
Thank you very much.
Everybody.